Hey everybody, my name is Bobby. Welcome to Mile High Church. We're so glad that you're with us this weekend, especially if you're new. Our vision is Oneness Revealed, a world of love, peace, and abundance for all. And our mission to serve as a spiritual beacon for personal empowerment and global enlightenment. If you want to keep your spiritual momentum rolling this week, our Healing Light service is tonight in the Vote Auditorium at 5 p.m. Stop by for an hour of meditation and guided imagery. Come early to walk our indoor labyrinth in the community center. And our Wednesday Night Insight premieres every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on YouTube. Tune in then or anytime for Minister Insight, Practitioner Prayer, and time for meditation. Maybe it's time to meditate right now.
Imagine waking up 10% happier. What would it feel like to eat breakfast 10% happier? Your normal commute, but 10% happier. 10% happier while being driven crazy by your children. 10% happier playing video games. And drifting off to sleep 10% happier.
Hey, I'll be coming to Mile High Church on Friday, November 3rd. I'm going to talk about how mindfulness and meditation can really help dealing with anxiety, depression, and many of the other issues we deal with as modern human beings, FOMO, burnout, stress, the lot of it. We're going to talk about mindfulness and meditation, but plenty of other techniques I've learned over the years hosting the 10% Happier podcast and writing books, etc. Really looking forward to seeing you all.
Would you like to learn the foundation ideas of science of mind and spirit? Well, we've got a class for that. It's called Foundations of Science of Mind. In this class, you will absolutely learn the core principles of our teaching. You'll get to learn more about affirmations and how to use them in your life, more about that prayer process we call it spiritual mind treatment, and how to do that for yourself and others. Plus, you'll meet some great people, have a great time. This is a wonderful 8-week class that we're holding this fall. Would love to see you there.
For more information about anything you've heard today, come by the Welcome Center or check us out online at milehighchurch.org.
Good morning. Stand if you are able. Let's sing together. God is so good to us, huh? I got up this morning singing, God is so good. Yeah. I got up this morning singing, God is so good. I got up this morning singing, God is so good. My God is so good to me. In my time of trouble, I say, God is so good. In my time of trouble, I say, God is so good. In my time of trouble, I say, God is so good. I know my God is so good to me. When my day is over, I sing, God is so good. When my day is over, I sing, God is so good. When my day is over, I sing, God is so good. My God is so good to me. I got up this morning singing, God is so good. I got up this morning singing, God is so good. I got up this morning singing, God is so good. My God is so, my God is so, my God is so good to me. I know God is so good to me.
Thank you, Laura Berman. God is so good to letting us having you here today. I'm so glad about that. Yeah, thank you. Good morning, Mile High Church. So glad to see you here today and all of you tuning in online. One of the greatest things about church is the opportunity to really be in community. And when we walk into community and feel that sense of home and that sense of connection, it's a great gift. And I'm happy to have two young people here with me today who have been doing that for a long time. They have grown up here in our community. And when you walked in this morning, you might have seen a bunch of the youth set up to create create a pancake breakfast out there. And those pancakes that you buy benefit specifically our camps. And these two young people, this is Carrie Agnes and Royer Shelton, are going to tell you a little bit about what they've gotten out of being a part of our camps here at Mile High Church. You can go first, Miss Carrie.
Okay. Both of us have been growing up at Mile High we've been growing up here, and we have attended all of the camps here, including music and theater camp, wilderness camp, rafting camp, CSL camp, and Rainbow Day camp. Do you want to talk about your experience?
When I think of empowering camps and big impacts in my life at the church, I immediately think of Rainbow Day Camp. I've been doing it for like 11 years now as a camper and a leader. And the best part about Rainbow Day Camp to me is how much passion that comes from that camp. There's so much energy from the leaders and people who are hosting the activities, but the campers themselves also feel like they really want to be there. You're never like alone or by yourself at Rainbow Day Camp because you're always with your group or doing an activity with one of the staff members at Mile High. And that's one of the best parts about it, is the fact that this sense of community is always being built every day of the week of Rainbow Day Camp. And that's why I just feel like the pancake breakfast is an excellent way to support it, because it also builds community with the young people.
Thank you very much, Royer. Thank you. You want to share about an experience you shared at the first service I thought was really powerful you had at a camp?
So my most enjoyable camp that I've attended here was rafting camp. We went to Fruita and we rafted 25 miles down the river into Utah. Towards the end of the camp, we went on top of this cliff and we said a intention, and then we jumped off the cliff into the water, and it was a real life leap of faith.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much, Carrie. Thank you, Royer. Beautiful. Thank you, thank you. So the essence today is that if you purchase a pancake out at the pancake breakfast, you're supporting our youth department in having more of these camps that clearly have impacted kids, and they're growing up here in this community beautifully. I hear a lot of us adults often say, I wish I would have found this sooner. And so by supporting our youth department, you support all of our kids and teens who have found this place and can be a part of it for a long time, just like Carrie and Royer have. So thank you so much, and thank you to Stacy Butters and all of our youth department and staff and all the cookers out there. I already had a little bit of a gluten-free pancake, so I'm all pancaked up. Here we go for service. Hey, before we head into our prayer time today, we just learned this morning, right after the first service, of the passing of Jill Castle, the wife of Jack Castle. She just made her transition into the next plane of existence this morning. There are some photos of her. And Jill came here in 1975, was part of you can see there, part of the band that we had here, was an important part of our music program. She was our youth director. Kent tells me that they called it the youth superintendent back then. But she ran our youth department. She is the one who invited Kent Rautenstrauss to be here with us. And so she certainly made an impact on Kent's life, and Kent and Kathleen have been caring for her and supporting her since she moved back to Denver. So we send our love and light to her, and we appreciate so much the impact that Jill Castle has had on many of our lives and our hearts and on this beautiful ministry. And so this morning, we light our candle in memory of her and send her on her way with our love and our gratitude for all that she has been and all that she continues to be. We love you. We bless you, Jill Castle. And we take a deep breath now as we step into our prayer time together. We're going to sing, we're going to experience silence, and Dr. Patty will lead us in prayer.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear a brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
Let us just enter into that shrine of our heart, that spiritual essence that has been embedded in each one of us, and recognize that golden light that beams from heart. It's like a golden thread that's in and through all of life. And I recognize this physical, this emotional, this mental, the spiritual presence lined with light. For I recognize that the presence of the infinite, that harmonic love, is ever so near, ever so present. So recognizing that each one of us, and I include all humanity, I include the plants, the animals, all of life, that we are connected in that one life, in that love, in that intelligence. And from that great place of connection, oh, I am grateful. And I'm grateful for I recognize that each one of us, we are the strength and the power and the majestic image and likeness of a tall, beautiful pine tree that knows how to sway in the wind, how to carry the snow, and how to come forth in spring and bring bright and goodness and sense to life itself. I give thanks that recognizing that the very light of the sun is beyond the clouds of our life at times. It's always there. And it's always present for everyone. So we take in that image of light and allow it to be that rainbow of color in our lives. So I recognize, and what I declare today is that we step forward. Every step is a step of kindness, a step of compassion. And we are moved by grace itself this day and every day throughout this coming week. Steps of compassion and kindness, because it brings forth incredible understanding. So as we stand tall, as the tallest tree, let us recognize that we stand as a light of spirit. So I bless Dr. Michelle and her incredible message this day, the beauty of the music that pierces through our hearts. I give thanks for each one of you, for we together as community, we are the light. We are the light of the world. And I bless all walks of faith wherever they have gathered, because that golden thread of truth is woven in and through all of life. So let us just move now with a sense of inner gratitude, reflecting forward as we allow ourselves this time together. And I let these words go. Oh, they've been released as spoken to that universal law which is that love intelligence that receives exactly what we believe. I believe, we believe. And I say amen, 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 which means I'm receptive, I'm receptive, I'm receptive. And so it is.
ועשו לי מקדש ושכנתי בתוכם 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 Vishachanti Batocham. And we were instructed, the great love, the divine God instructed us, informed us, please make for me a sanctuary and I'll dwell among you. May this remind us, we are the sanctuary where God dwells. We are the vessel right here. Vasuli Migdash Vishachanti Batocham Vasuli Migdash Vishachanti Betocham Vasuli Migdash Vishachanti Betocham
Our inspirational words today from Douglas Wood. Jack pines are not lumber trees, and they won't win many beauty contests either. But to me, this valiant old tree, solitary on its own rocky point, is as beautiful as a living thing can be. In the calligraphy of its shape against the sky is written strength of character and perseverance, survival of wind, drought, cold, heat, disease. In its silence, it speaks of wholeness and integrity that comes from being what you are. And from Darren Kagan, Bad things happen in the world, like war, natural disasters, disease. But out of those situations always arise stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And finally, from Sharon Salzberg, deep in our hearts, we all long for a feeling of being at home in this body, in this mind, with someone else on this planet somewhere. If we look carefully at our actions, what we say or do, what we refrain from saying or doing, we can sense within them an urge towards wholeness, towards happiness. This urge to find a home, to find happiness, to make ourselves feel whole again, to build resilience is a message hidden inside, telling us to take care of ourselves.
That was then, and this is now. I found my way back to here somehow. I knew you had to let me go. I told you once and I told you so. Take me down. You can't hold me, but you can't hold what's within. Push me down, push me to the
Thank you, Laura Berman. Beautiful music today, so powerful. And thank you to our wonderful band, Rob and Kent and Mike and Bijou. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Woo. Well, I do want to just mention briefly and personally invite you to consider taking the Foundations class with me. It starts a week from this Tuesday night. We've never offered it here before. We're trying something new. So if you've taken Beyond Limits, it's somewhat similar. And if you've never taken a basics class to learn about our teaching, it's a great opportunity. So I invite you in to be with me for this class in person here on Tuesday nights. 8 weeks will be done before the holidays. And we do have scholarships available. If you'd like to apply for one, you can do so. We have payment plans available, and you can register today at the event center, and I hope you'll consider it. Either take it again or take something new. I'm trying to get my iPad open. There we go. Okay. Now, I have chosen today the topic of spiritual resilience. And part of the reason that I chose this is because for those of you who know me and have known the trajectory of my life in recent years, there's been a lot of adversity. There was a time period where I thought I could open my own land called Adversity Land, and people could come take rides with me on Adversity Land. Many people did, actually, came to Adversity Land with me because there's been a lot of challenges that have happened in my life. And today in particular is a milestone anniversary of a very challenging event that happened in my life and in my husband's life. On September 10th, 3 years ago, this evening, we lost one of our closest friends who died suddenly. And that night, his name was Jerry, and Ken and I have known him since we were teenagers. We worked at Target at Southwest Plaza together and very much in each other's lives. And so 3 years ago, that evening, Jerry and his wife Tara and Ken and I had plans to have dinner together and go to an evening concert in the park. And when the three of us showed up for dinner, Jerry didn't show up. And so we called him, and we texted him, and we called him, and we texted him, and there was no answer. And we got kind of concerned that something was wrong or that he'd been hurt. We knew that he'd been at his workplace, so we got in our cars and we headed to where his workplace was. And when we got there, we found him there, dead. And discovered him and called 911, and Ken tried to revive him, and there was no hope. He was gone. And first responders came. It was the first night, I don't know if you remember back then, 3 years ago, it was very cold and the first snowy night in Denver that winter. So we were outside in the snow and cold, and the police, having not understanding what had happened, had to treat the three of us as though we were suspects. And so we were separated, even though we were in great trauma and we were in great pain and grief and shock. And they separated us, and they questioned us, and they looked at our cell phones to make sure that we had not been part of any foul play that had led to this man's passing. And after a number of hours of this, they released us and let us go, and we began the long journey of dealing with the trauma. It turns out that he had actually passed away that morning, and no one knew it. It was a heart thing that just took him like that, and there was no foul play involved, but there was certainly a lot of pain in our hearts. And so I felt like the journey that I've been on around that, and then after that, a number of other losses occurred in my life, in our life, that just came and came. And it was fascinating during COVID time. None of them had to do with COVID at all. They were people exiting the planet suddenly. And I don't believe that I'm alone in this. Number one, I don't believe that I am at all alone in experiencing that kind of shock and trauma. I'm sure there are those of us in this room, watching online, who have been through something very similar, have lost a loved one, especially in the last few years, have felt disconnected, lost, confused, discombobulated, in shock about life's sudden turning, and wanting to have tools and skills and some understanding of how to be with this and deal with this. And so we yearn for a sense of resilience that can help us bounce back from something like this. And it takes time, and it takes energy, and it takes a willingness, I believe, to be present both to the human drama that unfolds in the heart and the life as it happens, as well as a willingness to be present to the spiritual truth that is at the core of us like never before. But it can be challenging because we can get caught up in one or the other. And it really can be a dance of both ends. That spiritual resilience is something that we can have, and I think is the core thing that we humans are being called to develop and nurture in ourselves, whether we're going through a good time and things are running smooth and easy and flowing, or we're in the midst of great challenge. That spiritual resilience to me is often, I talk about in classes, like the practices and the things that I do in my life on a daily basis, no matter what, that allow me to forge a path through the dense forest of life. That's a path that's familiar. It's a path that I know well. It's a path that I've tread many, many times, so that when that moment happens, that challenge occurs, I'm ready. I know the way. I know the way into the depth of my own being. I know the way to my heart. I know the way to my soul. I know the way to my essence. To me, that's spiritual resilience. And it is above and beyond physical resilience or emotional resilience or intellectual resilience. It is the core resilience that we need to build and have to rise up again. Because all human beings exist on the roller coaster of your life. Have you noticed that? It's really easy to look around at each other, even here this morning, and look around. I bet they've got it perfect. Yeah, I bet they've got it. Look at that perfect person there. I bet they never have any challenges. And my life, we can't do that because there's not a single human being that hasn't been on that roller coaster. Everyone been in their pain, their suffering, their drama, their trauma. Being this human experience, being in it fully, means that we dance with the greatest joys and triumphs of life, and we dance with some of the most challenging, painful moments of life. And it's not that it's not going to happen. It's that it will. And are we building spiritual resilience today, now for ourselves, in our life, so that when that roller coaster dips, that we can be with it powerfully and profoundly? Now, I did something that they say in the world of speaking is kind of passé, but I did it anyway because I'm just rebellious like that. I looked up the word resilience in the dictionary. And I love the definition that I found in this particular dictionary. The capacity of a person to maintain their core purpose and integrity in the face of dramatically changed circumstances. The ability to not only overcome setbacks, but to also move forward. And that is resilience. Powerful, powerful resilience that it talks about being able to rise up out of our challenges, rise forth and allow the challenges, as Reverend Carol read today, to become a part of the strength and resilience that we are as we continue to move forward in life. The late, great Nelson Mandela tells us, "Do not judge me by my success. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again." That, to me, would be a new marker, because sometimes what happens is we get knocked down and we feel as though something's wrong with us. Today, I want to encourage us to practice ongoing spiritual resilience. And I think it takes courage to do that. It takes courage to do that any point in our life, when we're in a challenge and when we're not. It takes courage to be someone who is that spiritual, who is that committed to their own spiritual life and their own spiritual path and their own walk in spirit and as spirit. It takes courage because the world, I don't know if you've noticed, can be very distracting. And so it can distract us from our spiritual path. And so there are 3 courages that I encourage us to consider today as we're doing this. First of all, the courage to face our God. The courage to face our God. Ernest Holmes, the founder of our teaching, says, "The individual who has the most power is the one who has the greatest realization of the divine presence, and to whom this means the most as an active principle of their life. We all need more backbone and less wishbone. There is something which waits only our recognition to spring into being, bringing with it all the power in the universe." Powerful, powerful, powerful words. And so what I notice is that, first of all, the courage to face our God, to me, means that spiritual resilience is about an ongoing relationship with what we believe God to be. While science of mind and spirit has a particular articulation of what we think God is, we think God is this presence that is permeating all creation, including all beings everywhere. Each one of us is an expression of God. We also understand that each one of us comes to that relationship, walks to it, embraces it in a specific way. Whatever our definition of God is, to be spiritually resilient means that we fully embrace that relationship, that we're actively in that contemplation and that connection on a daily basis, that we're seeking to continue to uncover and evolve and embrace and activate a deeper and deeper and deeper understanding of the divine. That's part of that pathway that we're walking to make the way for ourselves. That as we do that on a daily basis, then when we are the most challenged, we have access to that comfort, to that presence. I want to be really clear that even though we have our own definition of God, when I say God here, when we say God here, we never mean the guy in the sky who's watching over us and doling things out to people. We never mean that. That is not our articulation of God, although some people resonate with that articulation of God. But what I know happens in just about every faith tradition I've ever been a part of or known someone to practice is that in a powerful, profound, shocking, traumatic moment like we had with the death of our friend or other experiences, that's when human beings often are most likely to lose their faith. And the reason that happens is often because we've got a mental equivalent of our God that we kind of apply to relationships. Have you ever... It could be a romantic relationship or a friendship or someone you work with or you know. Have you ever thought to yourself or maybe even said to that person, if you really loved me, you would or you wouldn't, right? You wouldn't have said that. You wouldn't have done that. You wouldn't have whatever. And we often project that onto each other. And in all spiritual traditions across the planet, human beings who find themselves in pain or struggle are prone sometimes to say to God, if you really loved me, you wouldn't make me do this. You wouldn't have brought this challenge into my life. You wouldn't make me suffer like this. You wouldn't have taken that person away from me. You wouldn't have let them hurt me. You wouldn't have let that happen. If you really loved me, that would have never occurred. And because the trauma that we experienced is so painful. And then to top that off, the trauma of believing that there's something out there that gave us this pain and is making this happen to punish us or because we're unworthy or we're unlovable or we're not good enough or whatever story we're telling ourselves. And so we then become prone to turn our backs on God. We lose the courage to stand in the face of the divine sometimes in our most painful moments and say, what is this about? What is going on? What's here for me? How can I be with this? Help me, guide me, be with me. I am a sanctuary for you, as Laura was just singing. We abandon God in those moments. And therefore, we abandoned the depth that can be there for us, even in a moment like that. And then we miss some of the greatest stuff. And we miss the opportunity to step more deeply into the power of our soul and the power of our journey and the opportunities that exist even in the most challenging times that we could face. We then are even more tempted to make other things our God. We're tempted to make pain our God, or grief our God, or the conditions our God, which we're already tempted to do, but when we are in pain or suffering and we are turning away from the divine, those temptations rise even more. I think that's why in the Judeo-Christian Bible in the Old Testament, when Moses came down with those commandments, the first one that was etched on the stone said, "Thou shalt have no other God besides me." Not because that God was some egotistical guy that needed to be worshiped, but because the first thing we are invited as spiritual beings who walk this planet and are on that roller coaster of life, the first law, the first call is to say, don't forget to walk with the divine at all times. Not just when it's good. Don't forget to be with God and allow that presence to support and uplift and fortify and be there with us. We forget the essence of who we are often in the midst of these moments. And so when we are willing to take them on and to face our God, even in our greatest darkness, there's a deeper opportunity that becomes available to us. And that's what I have found and discovered in these recent years. And the next courage I invite us to look at is then the courage to face our stuff, to look at what's happening, that human realm of how we're feeling, and to be with the feelings we're having and the thoughts we're having and the grief we're experiencing and the pain that we're with, and not to push it away or to pretend it's not there, to be fully with it. Clementine von Radix, in her book Broken, says, "We are all more than the worst thing that has ever happened to us. All of us need to stop apologizing for having been to hell and come back breathing." Yeah. Every human being, as I said before, has been through those dips, has experienced that experience we might call hell. And every human life, I call it from myself, I've used this example a lot, it's like the weather. The sun on our planet is always shining. We don't lose faith in the sun, do we? We know the sun is strong and powerful, and its light falls upon all beings, the good ones, the bad ones, the happy ones, the sad ones, the ones with integrity, the ones without integrity. The sun is no respecter of persons in that regard, shining its light on all beings. And every being, every day, every place, there's weather, isn't there? There are clouds. Today it's a very cloudy day. It's very apropos because it felt like that was my life for a long time. The constant clouds that appeared to shroud my belief or my ability to see the sun there, but I never ever doubted the sun being there. And if we can see our life much like this, there will be times when the weather gets pretty bleak in your life. And there might be some lightning and some thunder, even some hail damage that goes on and all sorts of things like that. But behind that sun, or behind that weather, behind those clouds, we recognize, we honor that wholeness abounds, that the light is there, and that the power of the divine is there. And we can hold on to that, and we can see those clouds moving through our lives and be in the weather just as it is, and be with it, and befriend it, and embrace it, and know that this too shall pass. The great Brené Brown says, "Our job is not to deny the story, but to defy the ending, to rise strong, recognize our story, and rumble with the truth until we get to a place where we think, yes, this is what happened. This is my truth, and I will choose how this story ends." That's resilience. I'm not taken down by my story. My light is not impacted by my story. My spiritual connection is not impacted by my story. My story is a part of who I am. The things that have happened are a part of who I am. And if I allow myself to hold them in this holy, sacred way, they become integrated into me in a way that empowers me to be profoundly present to myself, to my God, and to other beings on the journey. And that's the last courage. To be of service, to have the courage to be of service, which can sound really difficult. I know in the throes of the darkness and grief that it was really hard for me to articulate how to be of service. But at the same time, I know that every study I've ever read indicates that when we serve, even in the littlest way, that the chemistry that is launched in our brains and our bodies helps us to be more resilient. And so I knew that it was important, but I wasn't in a place where I could say, I'm going to go out and give 4 or 5 hours a day to people and be of service. So I sought for other ways that were more elegant and aligned with what I was going through. And one of them happened to be the grief programs here at Mile High Church. I took the grief class with Dr. Patty twice. And the reason that I did that is because I could go into that class and I could fully express my grief with people who totally understood and got it. And then I could be with them as they did the same thing. And that we could stand together and walk together hand in hand and heart to heart and be with each other. And so one of the key things about the challenges we face is that part of how we be in service is to get help and support others who might be going through what we're going through ourselves. It made a huge difference in my life. And I began to use a spiritual practice that we've talked about quite a lot. In fact, I pretty much carried around Pema Chodron's book, When Bad Things Happen, or something like that. I can't remember now. I carried it every day, and I've not been carrying it for a while. And she talks about the power of being the bodhisattva and standing on the top of a hill, and how we tend to want to escape the negative things of our life and go up higher. And this concept says, but what if you don't do that? What if instead of trying to escape the pain and escape the suffering and escape and get away from it, you dive fully into it on behalf of yourself and other people? And you become a change maker, a transmuter, a transformer of not only your pain and suffering, but the pain and suffering of anyone else who's experiencing what you're experiencing. And I found that this Tonglen practice, which Pema Chodron teaches and His Holiness the Dalai Lama says is one of the most powerful spiritual practices, gave me that ability to recognize that I'm not alone. The class did that, and this practice did that. That there are other people going through loss like I am, and I could be of service to them in my spiritual practice, in my meditation process, in my own journey, that I could support them powerfully and joyfully. And indeed, today, to invite us to build spiritual practice, we're going to do that practice together, the Tonglen practice. It's about the willingness to instead, in some spiritual practices, there's a notion that I breathe out pain and I breathe in light. And it's not that that's bad or wrong. That's a fine spiritual practice. In Tonglen, it's quite the opposite, though. It's the willingness to charge my own heart today, now, this moment. To see and to perceive my heart as a holy, sacred sanctuary, a place within me that can transmute all pain and suffering, my own or anyone else's. Because my heart is pure and my heart is sourced by the divine at all times. Even though my heart may be broken with the loss I've experienced, or a betrayal, or a sadness, or something I'm seeing going on in the world that just hurts so much, I can know that the reason my heart hurts like that is because I love. Because there's so much love there in my heart. And I can choose to bring those issues of pain into my innocent, holy, sacred heart and breathe and transmute them and breathe the light of compassion back out to them. So in other words, what I did in practicing Tonglen is I would sit, and I invite you now to join me too. If you want to close your eyes, you can. If you want to place your hands over your heart, you certainly can. Otherwise, you can just sit and become still with me and just breathe and feel that light charging up the heart. Feel at the core, the essence, that there is a soul, an eternal aspect of each one of us that is constantly breathing through our heart. That every breath we take is the breath of aliveness, the breath of saying yes to life over and over and over and over throughout every moment of our existence. Feel the power of the muscle of the heart that beats every moment of our life. Feel the power of the energy of the heart. And what we're going to do in this practice is, in a moment, we're going to breathe in different qualities that I will invite us to breathe in. And we're going to breathe those into our hearts. We might want to see it as like a steam going into the heart or energy going into the heart. And we're just going to hold our breath for a moment when we do that and allow the heart to transmute it, and then breathe it back out as love or compassion or healing to those that we are working with. So for example, let's use grief right now. And let's do this with anybody who's watching this service now, online, in the days ahead, because in that place where we're beyond time or space, we're always connected. So we are going to breathe in any grief or sadness or sense of loss that exists for anyone experiencing this service right now. So we breathe it in. And we allow our hearts, we hold our breath for just a moment, and our hearts transmute it. And as we breathe it back out to those people, we breathe out compassion and love. We breathe in anyone who feels lonely, disconnected, disenfranchised. We breathe in that energy together now. And we allow our heart to transmute it and shift it into connection and love and compassion. And we breathe it out to them. And if any of these issues are issues that you can feel are in your heart, just feel as we breathe out together if there isn't a sense of relief and connection. Breathe in light, breathe in the issue of unworthiness. Anyone watching this service who feels unworthy right now for any reason, and allow the heart to transmute that into the spiritual worth and light of beingness that each one is as we breathe that back and out. And let us go global for just a moment as we contemplate people who are suffering from violence in the world, whether it be wars that we're aware of, such as Ukraine or any other country, or a experience of an earthquake, such as in Morocco, or anywhere where people are feeling lost or suffering or confused or in shock. And we just breathe all that in. And allow our heart to transmute it. Love, love, love. You are not alone. And we breathe it back out to them. And we give thanks for the remembering of this beautiful practice that we can continue anytime. Especially as we are going through our personal challenges, we can recognize that we are not alone. That today in this moment, as I experience confusion or a lack of connection or a desire for guidance or a health challenge, let's breathe in anyone who is experiencing a health challenge right now. And see healing and wholeness abound in the heart. The heart is whole, life is whole, wholeness is the truth of us. Let's breathe that out. That whether we're driving a car or we're sitting quietly someplace, we're waiting for an appointment to start, we're in a space where we just are feeling disconnected, we can do this practice at any time. That this practice is transformative, and that I invite each one of us to feel if doing it makes us feel a little more uplifted even in this moment, a little more connected, a little more alive. The mere breathing does that alone. The oxygen oxygenates the body, but the energy of it also helps us to feel a deeper sense of connectedness
This is spiritual resilience, having its way with us. And then the joy of knowing that we might have contributed love and light to someone in this space this day, to someone watching this service, that our energy of oneness may have supported and uplifted another one here today. Oh, what a joy it is to know that. For we can't know every detail going on in each person's life consciously, but we can know the truth that lives below the surface of any condition, any life, anywhere, and that is that God is, life is, love is, healing and wholeness is. This is the truth, right here and now. I proclaim it, I accept it, I breathe it in, I breathe it out. I know it and own it. And I know with great gratitude that this truth that I've spoken, that we've embraced this day, is now met by that beautiful law that makes it so. And this prayer, this practice is released into that law to do its good work. That each one of us is uplifted, made more alive, more connected, and more spiritually resilient as we leave this place this day, walking into our lives, facing our God, facing our stuff, and doing good work. Thank you, life. We let this go, we let it be, and so it is. Amen.
And I am your sanctuary. Oh, I am yours. I am yours. I am your sanctuary.
Thank you, Laura. Beautiful job. Thank you, thank you. Yes. We're talking about giving and that opportunity to, in that process, be a light on behalf of other beings. And certainly as we are invited to give through tithes and offerings in our offering right now, that's the opportunity that is before us, to be a light and utilize that circulation of finances to light up this beautiful community with our love. And so as our ushers are coming forward and as we're texting to give or planning to give out there in the lobby at some point, let us just take that energy of abundance and that energy of circulation into our hearts, and let us say our affirmation together. So please say with me: divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. And so it is.
Just when I take a step outside, the rain, it catches me with no warning. Right before liftoff, what was once light and airy can't catch my breath, poor sweet canary, for the weight on my body. Oh, break me, take me, climb inside. Bring me to a new divide, and I will grow to know a better me. And this time I will lift all and fly high. I will lift off and fly high. Just when I take a step outside, all around I see the empty spaces. No matter how many times on this flight I can barely get the height now. I wanna soar with clean races. Oh, break me, take me, climb inside. Bring me to a new divide, and I will grow to know a better me, a better me. And this time I will lift off and fly high. I will lift off and fly high. Me and the time we made quite a pair, and it's a solo flight with the wind in my hair. There's a quiet line between me and the air, and I like it here, yeah. Oh, break me, take me, climb inside. Bring me to a new divide. Oh, break me, take me, climb inside. Bring me to a new divide, and I will grow to know a better me, a better me. And this time I will lift off. And this time I will lift off, lift off, lift off and fly. I will lift off and fly. Ooh, I will lift off and fly. I will fly high.
Laura Berman. Thank you for your beautiful presence and for your talent. It's always a joy to have you here. And thank you, Dr. Michelle, for your powerful message this morning. Oh my gosh. If you are new to Mile High Church, I want to let you know that we have a welcome center in the middle of our lobby, and please feel free to stop by there after the service to find out more about Mile High and all the many things we have going on here. And also, you may have noticed that our prayer practitioners are coming down front, and they will be available for a short affirmative prayer right after the service.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Hey, Dr. Patty, you're going to be teaching a wonderful class too, aren't you? I'm looking forward to
I'm
it.
so excited. It begins on September 18th. It's Monday. Michelle's is the next day on Tuesday. And it's existential meta-psychiatry. What does that mean? The meta means going beyond the physical into the spiritual light. And so for this particular 8 weeks, and we're going to be meeting in person here at Mile High, we're going to have to put our glasses on because the title is The Paradox of Cosmic Consciousness. Ooh. So it's going to be powerful. It's going to be wonderful. So I would love to have you there, and I'm going to be at the event center.
All right, great. You can learn more about this class and any others that we're offering. We got a lot of wonderful fall classes. Great way to build spiritual resilience, to be in classes. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. And I want to mention that this evening at 5 o'clock, we have our beautiful Healing Light service over in the Vote Center Auditorium. It's an hour-long meditation, a great way to go deeper into the essence of who and what we are. And it's just a lovely service, so we hope that you will consider attending that. And don't forget to get a pancake or two out there with the kids or make a contribution to their camp experience. That would be really great. And we will see you here hopefully next week. Let's all stand together as we say a benediction and sing the peace song. So I'm going to borrow what Reverend Josh has been doing lately, so please repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is this thing called life. Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is all that I am. I claim it and I am it. Thank you, life. Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
And so it is.